Sinead, can you take us inside the locker room a little bit? Are the Pelicans now sort of Zion's team, and how does that dynamic inside a locker room even really work?
This is a great question because it just sort of happens naturally. And this is absolutely no, disrespect to Brandon Ingram, who's having a stellar year, 24 points per game. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. But the Pelicans, they are becoming Zion's team. And that's not a bad thing because Zion, we all know this, the league is sort of ready-made for Zion to take over. He's a special player. He can get you buckets without calling a play for him. At the age of 20, he might still be leading the league in points, paint points per game. And the reason why it's becoming, Zion's team, Rachel, is because, last year, as a rookie, with a lot of new pieces, you're probably going to defer more to the veterans, especially when BI is having an all-star year. And right now, the team is settling in, building their chemistry. They're finding out their nice little passing pockets for Zion with a nice flow. Also figuring out how to move off ball so Zion can go to work. This is the version of the Pelicans that shows progress. Even though it is becoming Zion's team, that's not a knock on Brandon Ingram. It actually is showing that they're headed in the right direction because now they have two very talented players that can compete every night.
First of all, let's get it straight. The Pelicans are the king cake babies team. And
there we go. There we go, Zach Lowe.
Yes. Zion's, the way I would put it is it's Zion's offense. And I think that's appropriate for the Pelicans. I think it slots everybody into their appropriate role so that no one is overtaxed. No one's trying to do stuff that's even 2% outside their skill set. Joe Boylan, who was an assistant for the Pelicans, he once told me that he would tell Brandon Ingram, we can contend for championships here when you become our Scottie Pippen. And that's not to compare Brandon Ingram to an all-time great player. It's to say when you don't have to be the number one option on offense, when that big fella can be, and you can concentrate on getting us 27 assists, play all NBA level defense, that's when we can be special. Look what it's done for Lonzo Ball. He doesn't have to worry about running the half-court offense. He can be a demon in transition. In the half-court, he can skulk around and hunt for threes, throw the extra pass. It puts everyone in the right spot. This is the version of the Pelicans that can be dangerous down the line.
I'm really looking forward to seeing them go through that second half schedule. Now, after the game, we did hear from Zion's coach, Stan Van Gundy, expressing some disappointment in how he is officiated, while Rudy Gobert, he had a different idea on the situation. Take a listen here.
Someday he's going to start to get the calls he deserves to get. Any game where he's not shooting 10 free throws or more, I'm guaranteeing you they missed calls.
Obviously, the ones that when I go straight up and I get elbowed in the chest, there's not much I can do about that. They talk to us about all these rules and being vertical, and it's great. I've been trying to do it over the years, but when someone jumps elbow first, there's not much you can do. I mean, it looks good on the highlights, but it's still an offensive foul.
Now, Zach, coaches saying their stars don't get the calls is a tale as old as time. But do you agree in this case? Which side are you on?
Hey, look, Zion's shooting 8 free throws a game. We're a little early in Zion's career for the refs aren't giving him enough respect kind of takes. And look, Rudy Gobert is he's right. Zion jumps into you, you fall backwards, Zion just keeps going up. But this is in the tradition of Shaq, Blake Griffin, and now Zion, these physical freaks that are hard to officiate. There's so much contact, they're so physical, it's hard to know what to do. I think 8 free throws, they should be happy with that. He's shooting 71% at the line. They should be really happy that that's going in the right direction. It's a little early for this kind of stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, and for 8 free throws, rookie plus, that's a lot of respect that the league and the referees are already giving to you. Usually it's vets that sort of command that type of free throw attempts. And by the way, Zach, I am 2 for 2, 100% from the field when it comes to getting the baby and king cake. So yeah, my percentage is pretty nice.
Woo, that is very impressive. If you don't know how the king cake baby works at Mardi Gras time in New Orleans, I could not urge you more to go look that up on the internet. But when you go all the way to King Cake Baby Pelicans in the search bar, just be prepared because it might be a little frightening. Let's move on to James Harden. He's posting, King Cake Baby is your friend and mine, but I'm just saying. Harden posting an incredible 30 points, 15 assists, 14 rebounds to go along with, wait for it, 0 turnovers last night. No player has done that since turnovers started to be recorded in the 78 season. So here is Harden and Kyrie on their matchup tomorrow.
Seen it all, been through it all, experienced it all. There's not anything that we can't power through. That's the glory of God right there. We're excited to play basketball, go back to where James had a great career. We're looking forward to the experience, looking forward to having fun. It's going to be high competitive, a lot of great players, no animosity on the court, just greatness on display. Everybody at home, enjoy the game.
My plan is to touch as many people as I can in the sense of whether it's food, whether it's water, whether it's rebuilding their homes, whether it's making them smile, whether it's whatever the case may be, just trying to touch thousands of people in that city because they've done that for me and they showed me and my family that much love.
Janae, Harden there referring to, he really stepped up in the wake of the storms down in Houston. Even though he wasn't playing there anymore, he really, really made sure that people in that area, as he says, felt that he was there for them, provided all kinds of food and resources for people. And in his return, as Kyrie says, you can expect a show. What do you think is going to happen, my Houston friend?
All right, I always go through the lens of the Houston Rockets, as you mentioned, and I'm someone that probably believes in them even when a lot of people choose not to. But I'm going to keep it real here. I have every expectation that the Brooklyn Nets are going to win in James Harden's return. Because we all know that the Rockets, they're in the middle of a rebuild. I was really excited to see, Christian Wood and Victor Oladipo sort of do their things this season, but health had different plans, and the Rockets situation really can't be saved by them. But on the other hand, as you asked, James Harden is playing impeccable basketball. Literally, no turnovers last night with a 30-point triple-double. And he's always had this skill set, which we saw in Houston, but he leaned more into the scoring than the playmaking. But now the roles have, reversed, and he sort of flipped that. And now he's just flaunting for everyone to see, rocking a Brooklyn Nets jersey. So even though Houston is looking at him probably like an ex that is living their best life after a breakup, which is really tough for Houston, there's still a lot of love there. There's a lot of mutual love there. And might as well pile it on. And I think what he has done, as you mentioned, Rachel, for the community has really just showed a testament to who he is. But let me just keep it real. Whether it was J.J. Watt spending 10 years there, now James Harden, 9 years, Houston is going through it. It's been a rough offseason for us.
Hey, look, the Rockets have lost 12 in a row. They're just sort of a random collection of players, which is what happens when you have one team that gets dismantled. Then you have a bunch of trades that aren't related to each other. So they're kind of in a tough spot. The Nets are killing everyone. James Harden had 1 million points, 1 million assists, and as many turnovers as I did watching the game in my office. So what was it? Was it Clubber Lang that said prediction pain? I predict pain for the Rockets and a Nets win, which is not exactly a bold take considering the directions these teams are going right now.
Well, I'm glad there's at least some fans that are going to be able to be there to sort of experience the James Harden show yet one more time, even if it's not in a Rockets jersey. And I think there'll be some nice moments there, which is nice after what happened kind of at the beginning of this season. We will be looking forward to it. On this show, you can look forward to a little Carmelo LaMelo action. They swapped jerseys after the game last night. Does either one of them own the nickname Melo? Can it be shared? How many Melos are too many Melos? We dive into these important questions. First, though, it's time for our distant replay. This date, 2004, Mr. Vince Carter.
Williams to Carter with a catch and shoot.
Miss Analytics, under 2 minutes to play, 1 point game, and Jamal Murray drills the three-pointer on the break. You may remember a slightly different scenario. Murray was critical of his two teammates down 2 with time running out as they all stood on the three-point line and lost. So, Zach, is this a bad shot?
I think the Nuggets should turn this into a bit. Just make it more and more ridiculous every time. 1-on-0, pull up for a 3, pull up from half court, pull up from behind half court. Just keep getting more and more ridiculous with just take a layup.
You know what coaches say? It's always a good shot when you make it.
Well,
so he made
true. That's the Steve Kerr thing. He said, I used to sit there and scream bad shot at Steph Curry until it went in, and I was like, bad shot, good shot. Make clutch, Gene. Nets Spurs. Time running out. Spurs down 2. DeJounte Murray has a collision with Harden. but gathers himself to get the shot off, sinks it to send it to overtime. Chiney, is DeJounte flying under the radar a little bit this season?
He always really has been, especially, coming back from injury a couple seasons ago. But now, as a young player that is a future, star potentially as an explosive scorer from the perimeter and developing his game. Yeah, he's flying under the radar, but I'm just more impressed how he did not travel. Like, how do you keep that foot down and not travel on that play? That's crazy.
It's a great point.
He's not having a breakout season, but he's having a breakout season. He looks so comfortable on offense. Defensively, his back, his arms are a menace to society.
I do think when you miss as much time as he did, even a breakout but not breakout season is a very good season and something to be grateful for. All right, miss eye contact. Sticking with net Spurs, check out Kyrie making this ridiculous lob to DeAndre for the slam. Zach, how would you describe the fake and pass here?
So a little Rajon Rondo-esque, isn't it? Peak Rajon Rondo was the king of that fake behind the back pass.
Yep.
The Nets are just absolutely rolling. DeAndre Jordan looks invigorated, but I'll go Rondo-esque.
Yeah, very nice. I mean, the little show and go, but we rarely see it lead to a lob. Usually, they keep it and finish. Shout out to Kyrie. That's one part of his game that is extremely underrated, his passing.
Absolutely. James Harden, when he got to Brooklyn, apparently told DeAndre, I miss having someone to throw lobs to. Get ready. And apparently that extends to Kyrie, too. All right, make swishes. Carmelo Anthony scoring 29 points last night in a win over the Hornets. And his 10 makes all of them, straight swish. No rim required. Chiney, how many swishes have you made in a game before?
Man, I don't know. Probably like 3 or 4. This is wild. Like Hooper's that he made 10 makes, all net for all of them.
All net.
First of all, shout out to the analytics department for actually tracking that. That team probably has no sleep, but this is super impressive. I've never really seen someone do this in any category.
Unbelievable performance by Melo, particularly in the fourth quarter. Anytime the Blazers right now without CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic, anytime they win the minutes when Damian Lillard is on the bench, you're toast. They're winning the game. And last night they won those minutes because of Carmelo Anthony.
Absolutely. Man, it is just so much fun watching him ball out. Let's stick with Melo. And the first time we saw him go up against LaMelo, fans of Carmelo Anthony have often argued LaMelo Ball shouldn't use the nickname Melo out of respect for the future Hall of Famer, but Carmelo seemingly squashed it. Here he is after the game. Take a listen.
I think LaMelo is somebody who is going to be in this game for a long time. So the name Melo, you guys might as well continue getting used to that or stay with it. I don't get into that though. It's for me, it's a respect thing. It's an honor. For him to have that name, for him to embrace it, it's an honor, it's a blessing, it's a respect thing for me. So I embrace him. I embrace him.
Very gracious there from Carmelo Anthony. And Chiney, he's saying, look, it's not he's copying me, it's that he's doing it because he wants to be like Melo.
Exactly, and I think that's a great point, Rach, because it's not copycat, same name, same game. Like, these guys couldn't be any more different.
Yeah.
LaMelo, what he's been able to do his rookie season, shooting deep threes, nice passing versus Carmelo, having that isolation game, the one dribble, lethal pull-up in the mid-range. That's what his signature was. So it's not the same name, same game, which is all wants to say that LaMelo is the Melo, to just stay educated on, because I feel like I'm going to be one of those aunties saying get off my lawn if you're saying that the Melo is the next generation. I just love that, it's more so one generation giving love to another. So if they're cool with it, they can all be Melo. Just make sure we divide and conquer.
You got to stay Melo, right, Zach?
We got to be running out of things to argue about. Cross-court passes that are a beat different than most guys, even veteran passers would throw, that catch the defense off guard. He's got something up there that is just different and unique. And It's so fun to watch. So he can be mellow. It's fine. I didn't know this was a thing, to be honest.
Well, there have been a thing, Zach, between other guys who've shared nicknames. I mean, most notable, of course, is Shaq, who did not like Dwight Howard using the Superman nickname. Big Shot, Chauncey Billups, and, of course, Robert Horry. And Kmart, Kenyon Martin, Kevin Martin. So this has been a thing before. And again, graciousness by Carmelo Anthony. So, he's not pulling a Shaq here, Zach.
Superman is not a nickname. Superman is a character that other people, took his name. It's not, and Kmart is the same thing. They're just all Kmarts.
They're all Kmarts. We're all Kmarts now. We're going to wrap this discussion up. Coming up later, we'll be playing the stat market. Who's buying, who's selling on Russ, averaging a triple-double again. And coming up next as well, LeBron James is not going to stick to 9. The prelims start at 8 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN Plus, and ESPN Deportes. Welcome back to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols, still joined by Chiney Ogwumike, Zach Lowe. And I want to get to LeBron James, guys, who is once again using his More Than a Vote platform to team up with the NBA to fight voter suppression, this time during All-Star Weekend. And this isn't just fighting voter suppression in some general way. This is so crucial right now because lawmakers in Georgia and 42 other states are considering more than 250 measures that would create impediments to American citizens exercising their right to vote. I'm just going to say that again. 250 new regulations across 43 states, including Georgia, where the All-Star game is going to be held, to try to make it harder for Americans to vote. So the NBA, LeBron James, More Than a Vote. You're going to hear a lot about that during All-Star Weekend. Now, there is an athlete who's taken issue with LeBron's off-court activism, soccer star Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who essentially told LeBron to stick to sports. Now, LeBron responded over the weekend. When given a chance to clarify his statements on LeBron, though, Zlatan doubled down. Here is what he said, quote, "Politics divides the world, sports unite it. Football unites athletes whatever we do to unite. This was my message. Athletes should be athletes, and politicians should do politics." Chiney, I'm just going to cede the floor to you. What is your reaction here?
As I gather myself, it always gives me pause when people speak on situations without walking in the other person's shoes. And I know LeBron James' shoes are really large, but he deals with a lot of pressure, and he has done a great job navigating that over the entirety of his career. And we all know that LeBron is all about elevating and using his platform to advocate for underserved communities. I mean, athletes, without question, are at the intersection of sports and society, and athletes are expected to now use their platforms for good because we understand that our success is the exception and not the norm. So we have to really hold it down for those who look like us and who we represent. And there are very few athletes that have a bigger platform than LeBron, and he has seized the opportunity that he has earned to educate and empower, his own community, whether it's in Akron, Ohio, or Los Angeles, or anywhere in between. And I know this personally, as you mentioned, Rachel, as a member of the More Than a Vote coalition. Yep. And so when I heard Zlatan say that, I just wondered if he has seen the amount of good that LeBron James has done when he uses his platform, instead of more so the negative things that could actually be the things that are politicized.
First of all, congratulations to Zlatan, because by saying this, all he's doing is amplifying LeBron's voice even more. Every time he brings this up, it's just going to put more of a focus on LeBron, give him more of a platform. And yeah, we put microphones in these athletes' faces 2-3 times a day. I hope they talk about stuff that they're passionate about and they're interested in, because we can only talk about basketball so much. It's basketball. It's throwing a round ball through a round hoop. Talk about the stuff that actually matters. And we just saw the WNBA. The WNBA helped change the course of history in Georgia. It's not just sort of speaking for the sake of speaking and getting your words out there. They just changed the course of history in Georgia. And I can't think of anything that should be less controversial, less of a unifying topic to talk about than people should be able to vote. So keep speaking on it, keep talking about it. And if Zlatan wants to keep criticizing it, he should keep criticizing it, because all it does is make LeBron's voice even louder.
It's also just so hypocritical to me. We ask athletes to be involved in their communities all the time. In the previous segment, we just talked about James Harden being involved in relief for the people of Houston after the storms and electrical outages they had there. J.J. Watt, also in Houston for years, has done all kinds of relief efforts after the hurricane, of course, so famously. We are asking athletes all the time, go to elementary schools and talk to the kids. Be involved in making the community around you better. Well, that doesn't just stop when it comes to causes you agree with, like what happens in the climate out there. It comes to everything. And if people believe that the safety of their community depends on whether it's voting rights or gun safety or any of the other issues that these athletes are asked about, they should absolutely be involved, just like they're involved in all the other things that we want them to do. So I was really happy to see LeBron clap back. And to your point, Zach, every time Zlatan claps right back, all he does is elevate the platform. You know, Hawks head coach Lloyd Pierce was also very involved in the More Than a Vote efforts. He was one of the earliest to call for arenas being used as polling places. But while he was a really positive person for the Georgia community, obviously the Hawks, not so good. Hired in 2018, Atlanta missed the playoffs in each of his 2 completed seasons. They are 10-9 right now. They've lost 11 of their last 15 games. Nate McMillan was named interim coach, and he spoke about replacing Pierce today. Take a listen.
What I told our guys, and I really believe this, if you're looking to point the finger at someone or something, you need to point that finger at yourself. And, and that's all of us. Coach Pierce takes the hit for this, but we all play a part in him not being here today. We're capable of doing better. We have to do better than we've been doing and win some games. And we have that opportunity. Coach Pierce doesn't get that opportunity. And, he takes the hit for it. But that's on all of us to improve, do things better, win ball games.
Well, it's nice to see Nate McMillan get another shot. Zach, what is your assessment of the coaching change in Atlanta?
Well, let's see. The Hawks were bad last year. Then they made a bunch of moves. They traded for Clint Capella. They signed a bunch of people in free agency. They've gotten negative production to no production due to injuries and just not very good play from all those new guys except Clint Capella. DeAndre Hunter made a leap and then he got hurt. And we're expecting the Hawks to somehow be really good despite all of those things. Bogdan Bogdanovic is coming back very soon. I bet Lloyd Pierce would have liked to keep coaching a team when their prized offseason acquisition came back. But look, sometimes you just need a new voice. There are reports in The Athletic and other places today that the Hawks players sort of had grown tired of Lloyd Pierce's voice. Maybe that's true. He is a straight shooter. He does not pull punches in the media or privately with his players. But I got news for you. Nate McMillan doesn't either. Nate McMillan is a hard ass. He's going to coach them hard. And if they thought Lloyd Pierce was that way, Nate McMillan's going to be that way too. Sometimes you just need to make a change. I don't think this was particularly fair to Coach Pierce. I would have liked to see him coach the real team. But this stuff happens all the time. And like you said, Rachel, his impact on the community, his impact on the state of Georgia, that stuff is going to last. It's going to keep going. He's not going to stop doing those things.
Yeah, this one really hurt just because, as you said, Zach, Coach Pierce was on the, forefront, the front lines advocating for the players in the league. And some of the, recent hard moments, he did a tremendous job off the court with Atlanta. But when it comes to, on the court, of course, there are a few seasons since he's been hired in 2018, they've been less than ideal. And we're also talking about a year where the New York Knicks find themselves 4th in the East. And Trae Young was not named an all-star, which sort of has a compounding effect. Plus, this is a team, as Zach mentioned, acquired a number of vets that were the hope to get this team to win. But now you're in a situation where all of those things sort of feel like an avalanche that are just, when you're losing, it just feels even worse when all of those things aren't working in your favor. So obviously we all hope that Coach Pierce gets another opportunity since he is such an amazing advocate and brings so much invaluable presence to this league. And I would love to see what he can do with another scenario. But, the record sort of reflects itself, unfortunately, and the development of those players, I think, have to be prioritized, especially when we're seeing other teams find ways to win in unconventional fashion, which I keep bringing up the Knicks. So.
Look, Lloyd Pierce, very respected among his peers. You heard that last night from other coaches around the league when they were asked about the situation. But ownership made it so clear, so clear this past offseason, even before that, and a playoff berth was expected by ownership. They felt like the time had been invested, the money had been invested, the acquisition, Zach, as you said. So this team not heading in that direction right now. And we know the order of things. The president of basketball operations, the GMs, they don't fire themselves, right? They fire the coach. That is the first step always in these situations. We will have to see if that indeed causes a change here or whether there will be other larger changes up the line, because I don't think ownership's goals or expectations, those are not going to change. Tanae, thank you so much, my friend, for joining us today. You are going to go off to host your radio show with Mike Golick Jr. People will be listening to that after this show. But keep it locked here for now, because coming up, the Knicks, as Tanae just mentioned, currently one game above 500. Do you buy or sell them, finishing with a winning record this season? That's coming up next in another edition of the Stat Market. First, though, here is a bite. Stephen A's pregame, 7 o'clock Eastern. At this time, I want to welcome in our insider, Nick Friedel, to the Jump. And you're here just in time, friend, for the opening bell of the Stat Market. We're going to start with Zach LaVine, who leads the league in clutch time scoring. Now, that's, of course, the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime, when the score is within 5 points. He's ahead of Dame and LeBron in this stat, so pretty impressive. Nick, you are a Chicago man by way of Orlando and now San Francisco. Do you buy or sell LaVine leading the league in clutch time scoring the rest of the way here?
Rach, I'm buying, because the Bulls playing close games seemingly every night. Zach is an unbelievably gifted offensive player. Now, am I buying him as a max player of a title team? Not right now. But in this stat, playing at the end of the game, I think this is made for him.
I'm going to buy. Not that excited about it. Like Nick said, this is a volume stat. The Bulls have played a ton of minutes in clutch situations, so he's got a ton of points. That doesn't mean he's the best clutch player. He's been quite good, but I'll buy just because he's got a 19-point head start. That's a lot. The Bulls keep playing close games. I'm buying. He's a deserving all-star, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, when your team has got to squeak by every night, you end up doing well on this stat. All right, let's move on, though, to Russell Westbrook. He, once again, is leading the league in triple-doubles. He's averaged a triple-double 3 times in his career. He's close to doing it again this season. Keep in mind, only Oscar Robertson has ever averaged a triple-double even once before in NBA history, before Russ came along. So, Zach, do you buy or sell a 4th career triple-double season for Russell Westbrook?
I'm buying it. He's close now. He's done it 3 times. There's a lot of stats to get on that Wizards team. Like Garrison Matthews ain't getting a lot of assists for you. So I think Russ is going to pile up the numbers. And if he smells it with 5 or 10 games to go, he's going to go chase it, I think. So I'm going to buy it. Go Wiz.
Zach, I'm selling, although I agree with you that he is going to be chasing every number he can at the end of the year. The difference here is I think he's a little bit older, and if this team wants to win, it might be a little tougher to fill every column every night. But he's had a heck of a year, and if they can keep him in rhythm, they're going to be in pretty good shape in the second half.
Yeah, health's such a big part of this too, right? Because between all the COVID stuff on and on with the Wizards, but also Russell's own health, you know, the knee issues, everything else that's happened there, I think that's going to impact this more than anything. But we'll see, right? He's close right now. I want to take a look at the East standings, because the Knicks, yes, the New York Knicks, 1 game above 500, sitting at 4th in the conference. It's their first time with a winning record through 35 games since the 2013 season, the last time they made the playoffs. Coincidence? I think not. So, Nick, do you buy or sell the Knicks finishing above 500 this season? Because the fans who were dancing in the streets outside the Garden the other day certainly do.
Rach, I'm buying all the stock I can get, and I'm buying it for Tibbs.
Yeah, there we go.
This guy loves nothing more than getting a team motivated to play at their best when everybody's counted him out. He's got Julius Randle playing the role of Luol Deng that he did early in those Chicago days. This is tailor-made for Tibbs to ride in on his white horse and dominate in the second half and get the New York fans all juiced up about what may come in the next few years.
Do you think Tibbs has actually ever ridden a horse? I would like to see Tibbs try to ride a white horse. At the risk of igniting the fury of Tibbs, I'm going to sell this just barely. Although what I would like to buy is, I would like to buy a 9-way tie in the East at 36-36 at the end of the year. I'll buy that. Look, the Knicks are 1 game over 500. They've played the second easiest schedule in the league so far by basically any measure. Their opponents are shooting 32.8% from three. That's 2 percentage points lower than any other defense is allowed in the league. So I think they're due for some bad luck. I think they'll hover around 500. But if you're asking me, are they going to finish over? I will tentatively and not very happily sell the over 500 Knicks.
Well, take a look at the Eastern Conference standings here, guys, because it's not good in the East. I know I brought this up on the show several times in the past couple of weeks, but it's just kind of shocking. Every time you open up the standings, there are only 4 teams in the entire conference who are over 500, and you joke about the 9-way tie. But it kind of feels like that's what could happen if you look at where the Knicks are. You've got 2 teams only half a game behind, 3 teams only half a game behind them. You've got another team just a game and a half behind that, and it goes down from there. Zach, what is going on in the East? Is this just a matter of the fact that they're playing 72 instead of 82, and they don't get to beat up on each other? The bad teams in the East don't get to beat up on each other as much as they would in a regular season? Is that it?
Well, that plus this is a weird season, right? Teams have tons of guys in and out of the lineup. Like, I think the Celtics have performed way below what we would have expected. They would have been another team well above 500. The Heat, same thing. A team that made the finals last year got ravaged by the coronavirus and the associated protocol. So I just think it's a weird season. But also, there's a lot of mediocrity in the Eastern Conference. That should really be their slogan, Eastern Conference, where mediocrity lives. This is just what it's been for 25 years.
Right, the conference is swimming in mediocrity. It's completely average, which is why I'm buying Tibbs, because nobody has any team more prepared to play, in theory, meaningless basketball sometimes in the regular season more than that guy. That's why in the second half, I think the Knicks can make a little push to stay above that 500 line.
I don't know if "we're swimming in mediocrity" is quite the marketing slogan that anybody on Madison Avenue would recommend. I don't know. Our researcher Michael Schwartz found, this is the closing bell, by the way. Our researcher Michael Schwartz found that the last time the East was this bad, basically it's only happened twice in the last 50 years. We'll tell you more about that later in the show. All right, coming up, the Milwaukee Bucks have won 5 straight games. Can they make it 6 tonight as they host the Nuggets? Stay tuned for that.